Welcome, everyone. It's Monday, October the 20th. This is the IBSI's Forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America. I am Dumisani, Washington, your host and founder and CEO of the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. Haven't been here for a couple of weeks. It's been vacation stuff and all kinds of stuff. Well, not vacation, just kind of a downtime from the social media and everything like that. But boy, we've been all over the place, out of the country, in the country, and everything. So again, welcome. Glad to be with you on today. The last couple of weeks that we actually had our forum, you were hosted by our executive director, Joshua Washington, who is out and about now. He's on the road in the country, so he'll be in and out as well. I am based here in our home outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. I'll be gone pretty soon in different parts of the country, out of the country. It's going to get a little nuts and everything over the next few months, but again, glad to do the work, and there's much to do and much to discuss on today. So if you saw the thumbnail, if you saw the title, we're talking about IBSI's outreach or international or outreach around. We even talked about what the title was actually going to be, because there's so many things we need to discuss today, because that, along with the connected part of what's going on with this whole peace process and everything. So again, Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. To know more about us, you can go on our website, IBSI.org, IBSI.org. And you can also, you'll see on the homepage right now at this moment, a series that we started back in September last month with Facts for Peace is hosting it on their social media called We Are Not the Same. I'll say some more about that a little later on, because episode 5 drops on tomorrow morning, I think you told me. So we'll see how that's going. I think so great to have you guys with us. Share this, please, on your social media, wherever you're watching us. We should be live everywhere right now on our social media, including Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and on X. And other clips we've been sharing, some messages and sermons, both a couple of them from Ethiopia, a couple of them from the United States. So we'll talk to you about that as well. So again, this is the forum. Glad to have you with us. I want to, we'll do this in segments, obviously, because it's too much to get into all at once. But I want to say something over the last couple of weeks. What we haven't shared is some of the things that we've been doing. Our social media presence is still there. There are clips and things that we'll share about some of the work that we're doing. But it hasn't been as much as maybe, several months past, in large part because of the work that we've been doing. There's a triangle that we operate in: United States, Africa, and Israel, as we bring the Black American presence to this Israel discussion in the region, as well as the United States, Black and Jewish synergy and solidarity, all of those different things that we are a part of and about at the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. And so one of the projects, there's 3 major things that we are doing right now. And they are all both national and international. One of those is we are partnering with our friends and colleagues in Ethiopia at what's called the Let Africa Go movement, headed by Dr. Abera Habte. He is a minister and also the head of El Shaddai television ministry there. It's Amharic language station and reaches all throughout the region there. I met him, had the opportunity to meet him, almost 10 years ago. 10 years ago, while I was still with Christians United for Israel. He's one of the many, many African delegates that would come to the Kufi Summit, and it continues to happen to this day. And so he and I began to talk then. In 2017, I made my first trip to Ethiopia to be with him and do a series of Ethiopia-Israel events there with the clergy and also the lay members there. We had a great time. And we kind of stayed in contact with everything, but over the last year, we've been talking more. And so IBSI has been beginning to partner with Let Africa Go movement. And so there are several projects we're working on. One of those has to do with African Union to a certain degree, support for Israel. Dr. Habte has a vision there in his country and on the continent, and we are working with him and other African leaders as well as Black American leaders, Jewish and Israeli leaders, everything. There's a lot of synergy that's happening around Israel support in Africa, in Black America, even globally. I'm saying it that way. So we together hosted an event in Addis Ababa about a month ago now, a little bit more than a month ago, that's called the 3,000-Year Friendship, celebrating the Africa-Israel relationship. And so we did a little clip of it. In a second, I'm going to have the producer kind of load that up there and say a little bit more about that as we get into it again. So again, share this. We see the people logging in and everything. Our YouTube page now is a couple thousand. It's all organic, right? We don't pay for any of this stuff in terms of like, getting extra likes and all those things that you can inorganically do. And thank you for all of that. Also, Africa Israel Weekly is our Substack. We haven't written anything on it about a couple of weeks, but we do pretty regularly. You go to ibsi.substack.com, or you can go to ibsi.org and click on Africa Israel Weekly. About 3,200 subscribers on there now. Again, thank you all so much for sharing those things and commenting on those things. We write about Israel, Africa, Black and Jewish synergy, lots of different topics around those issues, and they're universal. They may deal specifically, originally, with Israel, Africa, and Black and Jewish and that type of thing, but what you'll find is that they are broad in their principles and in their scope when it comes to how many different things it touches on. I guarantee you, we will get into that on tonight. How connected they, what unfortunately in the social justice world, in a negative sense, what's that word it's called again? That when things even aren't connected, they call it. It's escaping me right now. Sorry, my brain is not working right. So sometimes things are connected in ways that are very, very, very deep. Sometimes they're forcibly intersectionality. Sometimes that is used in a very, very negative way, especially when it comes to demonizing Israel, when it comes to pushing racism, all that kind of stuff. But there are some intersections that are there that we're going to uncover for you on today. And discuss some more today, all right? So check those things out. But let's check out video, and I'll say some more about that. Mr. Producer, if you could load up, I think it's the one that says the 3,000-year relationship. I want you to check that out, and then I'll say some more about what we were able to do there in Ethiopia, what's going on there right now.
On Thursday night, September 18th, 2025 in Addis Ababa, IBSI helped present a 3,000-year friendship celebrating the Africa-Israel relationship. The event was led by Let Africa Go movement with support from the Israel-Africa Relations Institute and the Valop Group. It brought together African ambassadors and diplomats, faith leaders, American delegates, and representatives of international organizations celebrating and reaffirming the Israel-Africa connection. It was a night of education and empowerment, inspiring speeches, powerful connections, great food, and traditional Ethiopian music and dancing.
You gathered here today are a blessing for Israel and a blessing for Africa.
Our vision is to strategically reshape and strengthen Israel's presence in Africa while elevating the role of African nations within Israel.
Africa tells the world that God loves Israel forever. Because Psalm 68 says, Africa shall bring the gift to Zion.
In Let Africa Go, we strongly believe standing with the chosen people of Israel is our biblical mandate.
I will say God will never forsake his people. God is the God of covenant.
So I pray that you shower this wonderful audience and all of Africa with blessings.
The future is ours, and if we don't align properly, we'll be destroyed.
I love Israel. I pray for Israel. I stand with Israel. May God bless Israel. Bless you.
The 3,000-year friendship celebration was only the beginning of a new era of African and Black American support for Israel. In November, IBSI will take a delegation of Black Americans to Israel who will join in the Ethiopian Second celebration and participate in an Israel-Africa conference in Jerusalem. And in February 2026, IBSI and Let Africa Go movement will host a youth conference, bringing hundreds of African and Black American young men and women to Addis Ababa, where they will discuss the future of Africa, the youngest and fastest growing continent, Africa-Israel relations, and the unique role of the African diaspora, especially Black Americans. To learn more, visit ibsi.org and join our emailing list, or email us directly at info@ibsi-now.org.
Ms. Producer, thank you for clarifying that. I hope we're better now in terms of the sound. I apologize if you weren't able to hear that very well. Something's happening with the mic at the last minute there, so I had to take it out. So I'm not using the mic now, so I think we should be good. I'm not getting any text or any messages, so I think we're okay. So now, again, that was our event. It was an overview of the event. No, it's the same. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening here with the microphone. Boy. Let's see, audio. Speaker. Okay, there might be something else. Let's try that now. Are we good now? Are we good? Can you hear us? Let's test. Yes, okay, cool. What was happening was going through the speaker. Apologize for that, everyone. Miss Producer, were they able to hear the video? Could they hear the video, or was that going through some kind of weird as well? All right, making sure we're good. Yes, all right, cool. Now, all right, we can edit all that stuff out for the clip, so sorry about that. So yeah, so now, it's so funny. All right, so that video, a couple of different things. So that was the event that we had about a month ago in Addis Ababa, 3,000-year relationship. It was an amazing event. Shout out to all the different partners that were there, as well as Let Africa Go, one of my Israeli partners as well, Valop, and also the Israel Africa Relations Institute. Shout out to Shiri Fine Grossman. And then also that was us and one other one, I can't remember what it was, but it was IBSI headed that up with Let Africa Go. And again, it was the beginning of more of what's to come. The last thing that I mentioned on there is a youth conference. We are planning a youth conference in Addis Ababa, February the 19th through the 21st for African youth and young adults, as well as Black American, who will be bringing a delegation to Addis Ababa in February to discuss Pan-Africanism, to discuss African Zionism, to discuss the future, what's going on the continent. And I'll say more about that as well. It is so crucial right now. Let me go ahead and go from the beginning of my sermon. We have a vision of the next 25 years that is largely informed by what is unfolding in front of us. We have shared this before, a couple of articles we've written about it on Africa Israel Weekly and other areas as well. We discussed it in our live forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America, that according to Pew, and I believe, and Gallup, maybe a couple of others, within the next 25 plus years, the largest population on the planet will be Africa, nearly 2 billion, if not more than 2 billion people. This is already happening. The largest Christian population will be in Africa, as well as Latin America. In Africa, not Latin America. Again, it's the largest Muslim population as well. And because not just of those numbers that are increasing like that, the fact of the matter is, and this is not a sermon, this is not even a moral statement as much as right at this moment as it is a factual statement. There is a population decrease happening virtually everywhere else in the world, particularly in the Western world. You have, quite simply, we don't have as many children as we used to way back in the day in terms of the Western world. And what that means is that not only is Africa the youngest continent and the fastest growing continent, many other parts of the world are not growing at all when it comes to numbers. So what's happening with IBSI, we see that. And what does that mean? Among other things, it means that because Israel's greatest support comes from Christians who believe the Bible, and that Africa has the largest and will have the largest number of Christians, and many of them are Christian Zionists, there has to be an understanding of that expansion. And if you understand the geography and also the geopolitical things that's happening, the greatest persecution and genocide of Christians is also in Africa. This is a very strange time that we're living in. Christians are dying faster than any other places, like in Nigeria, like in Sudan, right? At the same time, the numbers of Christians are still growing. It is quite a phenomenon, both spiritually and politically and culturally. So we recognize that the African and African-American connection on these issues like Israel and again, against counterterrorism. Some of you already know my son a couple of weeks ago when he did the forum, he highlighted the fact that Kenya, about a month ago, the Kenyan government designated the Muslim Brotherhood and its other affiliates, including some of its Hamas affiliates, as terrorist organizations.
That's a huge thing. Kenya, one of the most populous nations in Africa, I believe about 4th or 5th after Nigeria and South Africa and Ethiopia, somewhere around in there. And so what you have now is this growing awareness within the African continent as well, not of terrorism, they're already aware of what's going on in their continent, but of the need to stand against it and continue to declare their solidarity with their greatest friend and ally in the region, Israel, right? All the hype and all the negative. And one of the unfortunate things about all the anti-Israel, anti-Zionist propaganda over the last 50, 60, 70 years, coming from the KGB, coming from the Arab League, and all within our media and all that stuff, is that many people believe things that are simply not true. That's just the case. And so African Christians, by and large, understand their relationship with Israel and want even more of the tools to be able to go even further and strengthen those relationships. So one of the things that IBSI is seeing is that we are working with our African brothers and sisters, as well, bringing to the table Black Americans as well. Sister Latricia Prond out there saying that's true. Absolutely, ma'am. Who's one of the delegates. I haven't said all the different delegates, but we'll talk about the Israel trip in a moment as well. So that's what's going on. So IBSI is aware of that. I also want to say that IBSI was founded in 2013, and we have always seen both Africa and Israel and the Black and Jewish conversation in the United States as connected. Now, this goes back to really how just God placed it on my heart to start this organization back in 2012, and then it actually got kicked off 2013. Just short version of that, it was always connected. Israel and Africa, Black and Jewish in the diaspora were always connected. It was not one or the other. So IBSI didn't just start talking about Africa. As a matter of fact, as I've shared before, long before I was doing any type of any Israel advocacy and anti-Semitism, fighting those shared, fight of anti-Semitism and coming against anti-Semitism, coming against racism, all of those things. Before that even happened, right, and even seeing that synergy, I was advocating for Christians in Africa, particularly in Sudan, back in the 90s, right? In the 90s, as a young pastor, as I've shared this story before, I became aware of the persecuted church globally while I was in college in the 80s. In the 1990s, when I was a young pastor, young minister, what was on my heart was to pray for, I would find out and do different research on different communities. Voice of the Martyrs was one of the organizations that I would access quite a bit, persecuted church, and they would report on and give maps and demographics about what was going on in Mauritania and Sudan and parts of Nigeria and that type of thing. So for 30 plus years, this was something that I was doing, something God laid on my heart, so that the Israel part of it much later on fit like a hand in glove, because when you're talking about standing with Israel and defending the only democracy there, the only viable democracy in that region, what you're also talking about is where Christians are safe, free, and actually growing in number in the Jewish state of Israel. Unlike what's going on in places like Libya, where there's slavery and the anti-Christian everything, right? What's going on in Sudan, what's going on in Mauritania, what's going on in the Arab Gulf states, the slaves that are in Qatar, the slaves are in Saudi Arabia, and on and on. You're talking about in a sea of despotism, you have a free and democratic Jewish state that gets demonized as the opposite of that. Following me there, right? So that's part of what kind of connected those when it comes to Israel and what IBSI does where Israel and Africa are concerned. Those two things go hand in hand. You're going to be aware of the region, and you're standing with Israel, and you're aware at the same time of what's going on with our Nigerian Christian brothers and sisters right now, how it's one of the most, if not the most dangerous place to be a Christian. Then you recognize this is why Kenya stands up. It's been a friend of Israel ever since post-colonial days, right? It's always been very, very close, right? Kenya, shout out to you, Kenya out there. They're the ones who helped Israel in the raid on Entebbe. When Israel had to rescue its hostages from Uganda under the brutal leadership of Idi Amin, it was Kenya that stepped in, allowed Israel to do surveillance of Uganda in order for them to make that daring rescue. Bibi Netanyahu's brother, Jonathan Netanyahu. And how are they able to pull that off? By Kenya allowing them to do it, and also allowing them to refuel their planes so they could get back to Israel. So there's been a deep relationship, not just with Kenya, but throughout Ethiopia. Most of sub-Saharan Africa, they've been close ties with Israel for the 77 years now that Israel has been a newly formed independent state, if you will. 3,000 years old, 70-something years young. So this was the case the whole time. And so anyway, when we're talking about that, we're talking about having this discussion around both not just the past, but the present, and what the future looks like where Africa and Israel are concerned. It's funny when you see when you check out the We Are Not the Same video series. Number 5 is going to drop tomorrow morning, and that's going to be about slavery, the slavery in the region, right? You'll see the whole thing. You go on our website, IBSI.org. You'll see We Are Not the Same series. You'll click on that. It'll take you to the Facts for Peace host, where you can watch the intro, episode 1, episode 2. They're all short clips, about a minute, between a minute and a half. Episode 1, 2, 3, and then 4 is BLM, which we'll talk about that in a second. And then 5 drops tomorrow, 6 and 7 over the next couple of weeks, everything. So these are very, very integrated in terms of the Israel-Africa discussion, right? So that's one of the reasons why we're having that youth conference there in Ethiopia for African youth. We're bringing Ethiopia youth from Ghana, Kenya, obviously they're in Ethiopia, South Africa, as we across different areas of Africa, as well as Black Americans, and we're looking forward to that. If you want to be a part, if you want to know more about it, if you want to help us make those things happen, again, we are a nonprofit organization. We do this at the empowerment of those who give to our nonprofit, ibsi.org/donate. You can. Again, our donors, they're Jewish, they are Christian, they're Israeli, they're a couple from Africa as well, from the continent, but also throughout the region. We'll say some more about that too, throughout the United States. So we're very, very grateful for all of our donors. No, we're not influenced in any way by the government, by the Israeli government, by the United States government, none of those types of things at all. We are independent voices, a nonprofit who operate and do what we're able to do by the generosity of our donors. And again, we so appreciate you. Shout out to all of you. So we thank you guys. And there's much more for us to do. It is expanding quickly. You've heard us mention before, again, those we already knew, my daughter-in-law, Olga, who passed away in January. She was from South Africa, and a huge part of our Africa portion of it, Olga was always obviously involved, and just if she were here now, she'd be doing much of that. We were doing that with her. We miss her terribly, and I can tell you that even with her being gone, it has expanded as it continued to rise quickly. We get communiques from either in Africa or those connected to the diaspora every week about different initiatives and different things. And that's not a bragging thing about who we think we are. I'm talking about this is just, it's happening. It is, what's happening is an African Zionism that is growing. And the connection to the African diaspora, Black Americans, is so key and crucial. And we are watching it in real time. We got shout out to you, Dr. Michael Stevens. Dr. Michael Stevens was the former African-American outreach coordinator for Christians United for Israel. And as he left, I came in behind him and kind of try to grab the baton and continue to move it forward. Wonderful man of God, actually pastors the City Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I think it's in the North Lake area. If you're ever out in the Charlotte area on a Sunday, go out and check out City Church with Dr. Michael Stevens there. Wonderful man of God. He and Pastor Sharon, he reached out to me the other day, and he was in a call with another brother from Canada. They were having a conversation about this huge music thing that's going on in Africa, particularly Nigeria. It was funny because the gentleman he connected me to, I hadn't met him before, but he had just watched the sermon that I just preached on YouTube, and he shared with other people. Say, hey, I just was talking about you. I shared your sermon and everything. So we began to talk and just over text. And again, this move, thousands and thousands who've been coming to sing and to worship and to pray for the peace of Jerusalem in Nigeria, other parts of the continent. There is an urgency that many Africans, both on the continent and in the diaspora, are feeling when it comes to Israel and when it comes to Israel and their continent. And it is prophetic, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard us say before, this goes back to the official relationship between Israel and Africa 3,000 years ago, as you just saw that video, when the Queen of Sheba, the queen who the Ethiopians call Makeda, visited Solomon in Jerusalem nearly 3,000 years ago. That's when that official relationship began. Ethiopia and Israel go way back even before then, but officially in terms of the states, these statesmen, these heads of state met there, and all kinds of things began to happen from there. But it was prophesied that it would happen by Solomon's father David in Psalm 68, and we've preached on that and talked about that before as well. So that summit is coming up. the Ethiopia Youth Conference. It will be by invitation, so you'll see information about it, but we are starting it then, and then the next year, God say the same, people will be able to register and then come in, but we're doing it a little bit differently this time, but you will know about it because we'll tell you about it there. And then, as we said also on that video, we are launching officially the IBSI pastors. We started taking young people to Israel and Africa back in 2022, 2023, as part of our peace initiative. Peace is an acronym. Plan for education, advocacy, and community engagement. Our ambassadors, we call them IBSI ambassadors, still engaged. Shout out to all of you. Haven't been able to meet with them in a couple of weeks, but we'll be meeting with them soon about what's going on in Ethiopia and beyond. But now we are prepared to launch at least the portion of the IBSI, the Peace Initiative, the clergy version of it, what we call our IBSI pastors. So we are taking a group of Black American and a couple of African pastors and leaders to Israel in just a few weeks in the latter part of November. So our Israeli friends, we will be there 24th, 23rd through the 20, I can't remember right now, the 18th or something like the 18th to the 23rd. You'll have the dates. You can check out IBSI.org. You have them on there. I meet with some of those leaders tomorrow as we discuss our itinerary and all those things. Yes. And why am I mentioning that in that same context? Because when we take those Black American and African leaders with us to Israel, and we're in the Holy Land, and we're seeing the sites, and we're going to the Nova Festival, we're understanding what happened on October 7th, we're going to Yad Vashem, we're going to Rambam Hospital in Haifa. When we're seeing this land, we'll be having discussions around what it has meant just both historically, where the African and African diaspora is concerned, and what it means now. What do we need to understand? Now, again, it was funny. So the other day, somebody tagged me in something, and they're saying, you should check out Dumisani Washington doing whatever it was, can't remember what it was. And the person responded, I went on his profile, and it's black this, black that. I'm not impressed with, I don't know who the person was, and I'm not even tripping on them. What I'm saying is that I chuckled because if you don't understand what IBSI does and why, then it's just a quote unquote black thing, right? We're just black folks who want to stay with black folks. And okay, now I'm very proud of my heritage, don't get me wrong, but I'm a pastor, I'm a Christian, first and foremost, in terms of my spiritual identity, husband, father, all of those things. IBSI exists first and foremost because it's something God placed on my heart, but also there are innumerable significant issues, topics, important life's lessons, if you will, where Africa and Israel is concerned. It starts biblically, it's geopolitical, and when it comes to the fight against anti-Semitism, against terrorism, there's a reason why, again, Israel's enemies have always loved trying to use Africa to come against Israel, or the Black community and the Jewish community to come against each other. There's always the reasons why these outside forces have always sought those things. And we talk about that. I talk about my book, Zionism in the Black Church. If you haven't checked it out, you can. You go to ibsi.org/store, and you'll see the book there, or you can just go type in Zionism in the Black Church. It's in Amazon and there's e-readers. It's an audio book as well. I talk about that in great length in the book, about what these historic connections are. Just a quick example, why the Negro spirituals almost all said those historic songs sung on slave plantations, set in the Old and the New Testament, even more so in the Old. There was more of the Go Down Moses, Joshua for the Battle of Jericho, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. Lift every voice and sing, like I've said before, you'll hear about it again. One of the most Zionist of all those spirituals. Why did Black folks for generations, for millennia, always sing of, preach of, deal with Zion? Even the churches, the Zion Baptist Church, the AME Zion Church, why it was Zion and Jerusalem always so embedded. What does that say, Ms. Latricia Pastor? There is so much in the Bible that points to what is being fulfilled today. 100%. There's a scriptural reality to what we are experiencing now, ladies and gentlemen, including how Jew hatred is rising in the nations like never before, including in this nation, this freest, most blessed nation in the history of the world, and has been a safe haven for Jews. Still is most of the country, don't get me wrong, but the hatred for Israel and the Jewish people is rising. We see it, it's happening. We can see in terms of the demographics. We see what's going on here. It's happening on the left side of the aisle a long time ago, right side of the aisle, cross ethnicity. This is happening in real time as the nations come against Israel and the Jewish people. There's things that are actually unfolding in front of us. It's a prophecy that Africa was to bring and is to bring the gift to Zion. This is something that's talked about in Psalm. It's talked about in Zephaniah. It's talked about in Isaiah. Even it's alluded to when you get to the book of Acts. This is something that's happening in real time. And so there's a role that Africa plays. It doesn't lift Africa above or Black Americans or people of African descent above other people. This is not some sort of Black supremacist thing. Africa is the best around. No, that's not what this is about. This is actually a very clear-eyed, sober approach and understanding of what the scripture says and what that means now, how that's walked out, which is why we're talking about the future. If we know stuff like, for example, the Christian population is exploding, even despite the genocides that are happening, it's still exploding and will be the largest Christian population in the world in Africa. What does that mean over the next 25 years? What kind of burden and what kind of responsibility is that on Africa when it comes to not just the African-Israel relationship, but what's going on in Africa? The youngest, when we were in Ethiopia last month, my wife was with me, and we were, every once in a while, there's a lot going on. We go walk, get something to eat or something. We walk down this little area here. And what we noticed more and more, I mean, we've seen it before. Actually, my wife's first time in Ethiopia. Young people everywhere. Young people. I mean, teenagers, 20s, 30s, everything's like a youth convention everywhere, right? And I'm not talking about running around doing something bad. I mean, young people, right? The elders as well. I mean, there's, we're all pretty much in Addis in the capital city. And I said something to Dr. Habte, one of our hosts, and he said, yep. He said 70% of Ethiopia is 30 and under. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? That demographic, that stat is pretty much for sub-Saharan Africa. The vast majority of the continent is 30 years and younger. It is the youngest, fastest growing, most populous in a minute continent on the planet. That means there's a lot of things that are going to shift between now and the next 25 years. They could be bad or good. Why am I mean bad or good? With the rising of the terrorism that's happening there, Africa is now the #1 terrorist hotspot as of 2020, according to the Global Terrorism Index. So those aren't good things. So the young people coming up need to understand that, need to see that. We see it like a Kenya declaring the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization. These things are hugely important right now. So again, a lot of that's happening. So when we take the Black American and African leaders with us to Israel next month, we're going to do a deep dive in some of these conversations, as well as going to the Holy Land and going to Sea of Galilee, going to the Western Wall, going to different places, seeing the people, having an amazing time. One of our board members, shout out to Rabbi Nolan Leibowitz. He's going to come with us, hang out with us for a while. We'll do Shabbat dinner together at the hotel there. This is an amazing time. As difficult a time as it is also an amazing time. And so IBSI wants to make sure that we are doing our part when it comes to that. I see somebody on here. One second. I'm going to say, hi, Pastor Dumisani, I'm back. I need to take somebody over there. So much happening. And this is Kingdom Ambassador. I think Miss Producer, am I looking at Kizzy? I can't tell who that thumbnail is. But I think that's one of our ambassadors. That's somebody else. Am I missing someone? I see the comment, but I don't know. And I see the picture, but it's small on my thing. So if someone's checking out, you all let me know. Well, shout out to you, ma'am. I can see that it's a young lady that's on there. Kizzy. All right, Kizzy. Shout out, Kizzy. We were just talking about you. Talking about how coming down there. My wife said, you know what? We need to connect with Kizzy again and do something she was saying specifically. So shout out to you, Miss Kizzy. Oh yeah, and your friend Latricia, shout out to her as well. That's what it was, Kizzy. It was a couple of different things, and one of them was that we were planning our trip, and there's been so much going on. As the old preachers used to say, charge it to my head and not my heart. We are in the process of getting me an assistant. I have my different ones who help me, but my God, we need a separate assistant to hire because it's too much. It's just too much. So I got a message, Kizzy, from your friend just randomly about Israel. And I said, man, that's one of the people that I was supposed to contact. I forgot all about it. So then thank God she contacted me now. And so we got her there. She's signing up and everything. Again, The Israel trip for you Black American and African pastors who would like to go, or leaders, there are a couple of seats that are there, but they're going to be filled by people who've already said so. So we've done this in a certain way this time. That's why you didn't see a lot of posts on social media about this trip, because it was kind of a quick thing that we'd already been planning it for a while, but we decided to move on it about a month ago. So there are certain people that we began to contact because we'd already begun to speak with them. But this is only the beginning. If you wanted to go and you couldn't go on this trip, by God's grace, it's going to continue to happen. Probably the next one will be in the spring of 26. So again, shout out. So Miss Kizzy, yes, ma'am. We need to, we'll talk to you really soon. And ambassadors, all the ambassadors, we're going to be talking within the next few days, so I can fill you in on these things as well. I said all that from that video, right? So check out that video. The video that we showed, it's on our website, or it's on our YouTube page. It's on all our social medias. You can go and check that out, 3,000 year friendship there. So again, we had an amazing, amazing time there in Addis Ababa, and we'll be headed back there in February. So we go to Israel in a few weeks for something else. Then we come back. Then we go to Israel again and come back. Then we go to Israel again, come back. Then we go to Ethiopia. And then later on, we'll go to Ghana. And then we'll come to Minnesota for an Africa summit type of thing. It's going to be amazing. That's the next year. And then back to in Israel. So there's a lot of plans that are being made. Where God says man makes his plans and God orders his steps. All right. So we're looking forward to all of those things. All right. So now that's that part. I'm going to connect a couple other things because I got to make a little turn here and make another connection. So on a very, very serious note, all of this is serious, right? But those things are a little bit more, positive, lighthearted, but I gotta deal with it. So over the last couple of days, there's been much talk about the Gaza peace plan that was celebrated by the Trump administration and certain other ones. And let me say this right off the bat. IBSI hasn't even written about it. We made a couple of small statements. I'm going to say this right now. We, along with our Israeli brothers and sisters, our Jewish brothers and sisters across the diaspora, celebrate the final release of the surviving hostages, full stop. We are so glad that those hostages, those who survived, have been released by Hamas and are back home with their families. Some of them we know had more health concerns than others in terms of I know they're being checked out medically and everything, but that they're home, that they are free from the clutches of Hamas is something that we celebrate as well. Full stop. This is not what I'm getting ready to say about the peace thing is not about the hostages. And we couldn't imagine. No one could know what our Israeli brothers and sisters are enduring. The only people who can understand are the people who've been through something like that. To bring back our girls, Nigerian families who are still waiting for those girls to come back. Now that they're like 11 years ago at this point, they understand, right? The Boko Haram, another Islamic terrorist organization, abducted nearly 300 girls. And that's not the only ones, right? But there's the most celebrated one, Leah Sharebu, who's now a grown woman who's had multiple children within that group, who refuses to renounce Christianity because they're trying to forcibly convert her to Islam. Again, so the only people who recognize what the Israelis are going through are those who are going through those types of things, who are suffering those types of injustices. So we celebrate that. Having said that, the peace plan, I can just talk for it, was always a sham. It was always a ruse. It wasn't very difficult. I would say Ray Charles could see what was coming from a mile away. Right? Just somehow Hamas was going to lay down its arms, or that somehow Hamas, who still hasn't released the body, they were supposed to release the remains of the deceased hostages. I think they did the first 2 or 3, and they decided, yeah, well, no, we're not going to do that, right? And right now, bulldozers that are owned by Qatar are out there excavating and everything, not excavating for the good purpose. They're ready to rebuild Gaza with another billions of dollars that are coming from the international community. It's essentially a 2-state solution where Hamas is still running Gaza. But we saw that coming a mile away. It was not difficult to do. And not only that, ladies and gentlemen, we also saw coming, and it wasn't difficult, wasn't very difficult, that the hostilities never stopped. Not 24 hours after the peace plan was announced, it was reported by Times of Israel, and I don't have the thumbnail here, but you can check it out, that Hamas attempted to abduct, kidnap
an IDF soldier. Just think about it, ladies and gentlemen, that IDF soldier, if it was a young man, for example, I'm not sure if it was a man or woman, just I don't know who exactly what it was. If he's married, he's going to make somebody a widow. Somebody's son, father, brother, uncle, whatever. In other words, yeah, they released the hostages. They're trying to take some more right now, while they're all the White House and Trump administration waving these banners on freedom at last, freedom and peace and peace and peace. On the peace deal. We're like going, nope, it's really a bad sign because you keep selling it like a propaganda tool. I'm gonna go further. So we saw that, right? And we called it. We said the next thing that's going to happen is that because Hamas is still attempting to attack Israel, when Israel finally responds, the media, mostly run by Qatar, not just Al Jazeera, but a whole bunch of other outlets, and they influence the Western media as well, they're simply going to call it Israel. And what happened? What's going on in the headlines right now? Israel has killed this many people in Gaza. That's right off the bat. It was very clear what was going on. And President Trump, quite unfortunately, has been pushing the same thing. Hamas is slaughtering some people. Okay, some killing Catholic Christians in Nigeria as you speak. Yep. Praying the people be educated. Absolutely. So what Hamas is doing to Israel still, Boko Haram and Fulani are doing to the Nigerian Christians. Al-Shabaab is doing to the people of Kenya and the people of Somalia. The Janjaweed are doing to the people, and as well as the RSF, the Rapid Support Forces, are doing what that's going to the people of Sudan, the slaves in Libya, the slaves in Mauritania. Again, after October 7th, the organization was formed, Africa Jewish Alliance, because there are many Africans who saw what happened on October 7th, and they said, that happens here every week. So when you give them all on this peace, and all this peace, the Bible even says, woe to me about those who all when they keep saying peace, watch out. War is coming. We watched that. We were very disappointed. Start calling it out, right? And again, for the people who are loyal Trump fans or anything like that, I mean, again, I'm not a fan of anybody. I vote and I move on, right? I pray for the leaders of the Word of God says. When we were critical of the Obama administration, all the Obama fans got upset with us. We didn't care. We don't care. And then when they were critical of the Trump administration, people got upset. We're not trying to ruffle feathers. We're not trying to offend people. We're not trying to make people upset. Nothing. It's just that I say, like I've been saying, as I've been preaching for a while now, I love you enough to not care what you think about it. I care enough about the truth to not be concerned about whether or not what we say offends you. And the main players in this thing have been Qatar and Turkey. There's three heads of this global caliphate snake: Qatar, Turkey, and Iran. And oh, by the way, Iran got pimp slapped a couple of months ago, ladies. Don't get me wrong, yes, but they ain't gone out. They're not out for the count. They're still lurking. They are still back there with a lot of drama, right? So clearly, who made out like a bandit with this peace deal? Qatar and Turkey. One of the reasons why is because Qatar gets to rebuild. Literally, Qatar has tractors with Qatari flags on it in Gaza, rebuilding Gaza. How is that a peace plan? Qatar is Hamas. And then Turkey, which just an Israeli friend of mine who's very, very knowledgeable about these things, sent me an article saying that Turkey is now trying to ship more weapons to Syria because the Al-Qaeda leader of Syria, who also helped Trump install, is this thing on? Let me see. The leader of Syria is still slaughtering Druze and Christians and Alawites as we speak. I'm not saying Assad was a good person. He was a very evil person. I'm saying we replaced him with another very evil person. And to keep using the word peace when people are dying by the thousands is purposefully deceptive and wicked. People are dying by the thousands. And Americans' handprints all over. One of the articles we wrote a couple of months ago was blood on our hands. And we paralleled what Obama did to Nigeria to what Trump and his administration just did to Syria. People got upset. Again, I don't really care. I don't care that you got upset. We're going to actually deal with the truth. As one young lady from South Africa said, she said, truth now, hurt feelings later, or something like that. You have to deal with it, right? So that the whole peace plan was a charade. So now, further, the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and his Middle East envoy or Qatari envoy, whatever he's supposed to be, Steve Witkoff, They got with Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes and did I didn't watch though. I watched enough clips because you know what, I as you can see, I can be intense all on my own. I saw enough, heard enough. I've been watching the whole thing anyway. And Witkoff was the one a few months ago said that the Qatar Emir, they're doing God's work. Could somehow Qatar, which more than any other entity controls Hamas, their leaders live in Qatar, which is why Israel struck it. And when Israel struck the leaders of Qatar got all in their feelings and wanted an apology, and Trump obliged them. I was like, what in the Sam Hill? They were not attacking just Qataris. They were going after Hamas. And I want you to see something here. So I want you to play the producer, make sure you minimize me on there. I want you to play this and I'll say some more about it, please. Play the Kushner Witkoff clip, please.
So we got into the room. The lead negotiator was sitting right next to me.
That negotiator was in Doha when the Israelis struck.
Correct.
He survived, but his son was killed. Is that right?
That's right. And we expressed our condolences to him for the loss of his son. He mentioned it. And I told him that I had lost a son and that we were both members of a really bad club, parents who have buried children.
Witkoff's son, Andrew, died of an opioid overdose at the age of 22.
When Steve and him spoke about their sons, it turned from a negotiation with a terrorist group to seeing two human beings kind of showing a vulnerability with each other.
Is it true that once the deal was agreed to, that the Israelis there at that meeting and the Qataris began to hug each other?
Absolutely. And I thought to myself, I wish the world could have seen it.
Are you kidding me? So, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are singing Kumbaya, having love-in and hug fest with the leaders of Hamas over shared values. So the leader of Hamas's son got killed in the strike because the leader of Hamas's son is Hamas. He got killed in the strike. And these guys go in there and apologize. Oh, well, we feel so bad. You feel like their son died, my son died. I'm sitting there going, watching, they're going, I'm saying, okay, so I'm trying to understand this. So while you all are having this sort of feel-good conversation, let's all come together. Where's the acoustic guitar? How many must seriously? You sit there having this conversation. It wasn't just with Jared Kushner, not just we're talking the terrorist organization. These are two men. Okay, fine, I understand that. So could you in a second? I'm gonna have you cues for me. I'm trying to understand this because while these guys are making nice with Nazis, Islamic Nazis, there's other people that are involved in this as well, like the Tanzania. So one of the things I said on social media. So while these gentlemen are there, supposed to be negotiating with these Hamas leaders, terrorists, and they're having this sort of love fest singing with this whole let's hug each other about all our shared. One of the things I asked on social media was, okay, did you happen to ask them why, Jared and Steve, why did Hamas slaughter a bunch of foreign nationals on October the 7th? If this is some sort of Arab-Jewish love fest and singing, right? If you're speaking for the Jewish community and they're speaking for Arabs, whatever, I mean, that's your prerogative, right? But I'm trying to understand, there's folks who didn't have a dog in the fight, they got slaughtered, and they didn't get a love fest and sing in, right? So, okay, so here's the thing, and we shared this before, and my son did it. I want to roll it, producer, and I'll say some more about it in a second.
For those who like to group together Free Palestine, Free Sudan, Free the Congo, I want you to take a look at this. The young black boy in that clip, his name is Joshua Malito Malau. He was a Tanzanian student who was in Israel studying agriculture so that he could learn and take it home to his family, help his country. He was brutally murdered by Hamas. They knew he wasn't Jewish. They knew he wasn't Israeli. They didn't care. They terrorized him, tortured him, killed him, and then shot him several times in the head after they killed him. This is how Hamas and the broader Islamic jihadist world feels about Africans, which is why they enslave them by the millions across the African continent, including in places like Sudan. Stop claiming solidarity where there is none. Stop.
There are Hamas affiliates in Sudan. There are Al-Qaeda affiliates in Al-Qaeda itself, which is also connected to Hamas, the same Muslim Brotherhood networks throughout Africa slaughtering. So Jared and Steve, quick question for you. While you were hugging and loving on and everything, Hamas stuff, I'm trying to understand, did you happen to ask them what those African agricultural students did to them? Did you happen to mention to them the Thai workers that were killed and were slaughtered, were taken into? Did you happen to come out of your progressive bubble? Did you happen to think a little bit beyond your little feelings about other people that Hamas is slaughtering, that Hamas is capturing, and other affiliates like that? Did you happen to think at all and ask yourself or ask them why, if this is about some sort of Palestinian liberation? Jared goes on later on to talk about Israel's going to have to treat them fairly. We're going, really? So the problem with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is that Israel hasn't been fair. Is that what's going on, Jared? It's amazing. So I'm trying. Could you please explain then to Josh Malal's family what he had to do with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? You know what? That's a certain amount of privilege right there. For me to sit there and act like, this is what we did. We had to come together. He talked about his son, and we kind of shared, some tea and a little hummus, and we all we slapped hands when he talked to them, and we did it. Really? That's how that happens? Wow. And it's amazing because he told what about African Jewish community? Okay, because what it does, ladies and gentlemen, from the most powerful nation on the planet, this president's son-in-law and his envoy to the Middle East, are normalizing Hamas. It legitimizes terrorists that we, oh, by the way, are still funding with our tax dollars. It legitimizes them. It places them on equal footing with people like our president's staff, and it doesn't demonize them for the monsters that they are, because none of what they just said in that clip has anything to do with how they severed the heads of babies, burned people alive. Oh, and that same person they were talking about, they talked to, I didn't pull up the clip here now. You can follow it yourself. I can't remember the person's name, but it's on my social media. You see it. He's already saying that we will not be disarming. We're going to take a little respite here, but we're coming for that. We coming to do. Hamas has been saying from the beginning, we will return to Israel and do it October 7th over and over. And this is not about land. This is about who they think is being treated fairly. They want Israel and Jews gone. And their friends out throughout Africa are doing the same thing with African Christians. So, Jared, did you guys ask them about that? Did you ask them about why they called this dude an Abid and slaughtered him, killed him, and shot his body? Did anybody send their parents some sort of telegram? Did you invite his family to the Love Fest and sing in? Did they get a chance to go to Doha and join around there and eat some good food? I said no, right? Because you don't care. You even think about it. And that type of thing on 60 Minutes, and it goes all over the world. It not just humanizes, because these are the terrorists. I'm not talking about the people who are suffering, because right now, as we speak, again, Hamas is slaughtering its own people. And then the president gets up, oh, they're killing the gang. They're killing the gangs. Are you serious right now? Hamas has been slaughtering its own people since it took over in 2007. But somehow now it's okay. These are Hamas, Qatar talking points. This is a very, very dangerous moment that we're in right now. And it makes the Africa job even more heavy lifting, because these same terrorists that are wreaking havoc in their nations, these terrorists get to put on their suits and sit down with the president and these other people, and not just talk, but just, oh yeah, they're so great. The president, oh, Qatars are great. They're our friends. They're our allies. Leslie Stahl was on there. They bombed the peacemakers. Wow, right now Qatar and Hamas are the peacemakers. Right? So you know what's amazing? When Bill Maher on his show brought to international prominence, the slaughtering of Christians that's going on in Nigeria, right? Somehow got there. Some people will call it, text us. Your work has been well. It's getting to Bill Maher. Our organization, we can't take credit for that. People have been talking. We've been talking about it for a long time, right? If somebody sent them one of our clips, fine. I mean, that had nothing to do with us. My thing was this: when he did that, Al Jazeera, owned by guess who? Qatar. See that article after that? No, Bill Maher, there is no genocide of Christians. Why? Because they don't want you to know. They want to lie and say there's a genocide in Gaza by the Israelis. Well, the real genocide is in Qatar, by Qatar, and it's in Nigeria, it's in Sudan. These Islamist terrorists are doing it. And when Bill Maher said it, you better watch your back, Bill. Because if Qatar don't like you talking about it, better rest assured they're not going to sit there. I'm sure he got some of the little nasty messages and everything. Right on Al Jazeera. No, it's not. They're lying. They're lying. Of course there's a genocide going on there. So now there's an information war about whether or not thousands of Christians are being slaughtered in Nigeria. Now, it absolutely, we have all the numbers. We have all the receipts. Isn't it amazing? Somebody just said it on here. Go to the company's quotes. Exactly what Trump regime is doing. They don't care who the people are if they have a brown or black skin. Wow, and you showing this with like-minded practice. Yep. You know what? People, it's not that racism doesn't exist. The left often uses it for any type of frivolous thing, but she's not wrong. I've said this before. One of the many things that Israelis and Africans and Black and Jewish people have in common, no one cares what happens to our communities in this way. I'm talking about on a mass scale. Christians have been dying by the thousands in Africa for decades. If you want to talk about the Arab Islamic enslavement and genocide of Africans, that goes back almost 1,400 years. The West had slavery and abolished slavery within the time that there's Arab Islamic slave trade. It started shortly after Muhammad's death in the 7th century. That's how long this has been going on. Nobody cares. And I said it before. Why we don't care? You know what? Someone asked me that. I was at an event in Chicago. My good friend Peggy Shapiro. Shout out to you, Miss Peggy. They asked her this question. She was the moderator of the talk that we did. I think Angela was out there. Angela, I remember your last name. Some of our friends out there, Christian and Jewish community out there in Chicago. And the question was asked, Pastor Dumisani, why don't we hear more about the slave trade of Africans? And I said very easily, because the people enslaving them aren't white. I said, if it was Belgium or France or, the UK, if they are the ones enslaving thousands of Africans, cutting off their genitals, yes, castrated slaves are still happening right now, just the way that Muhammad did it, right? And it's happened if that was happening at the hands of Europeans, there'd be a worldwide abolitionist movement. But they're brown. These are Arab or otherwise, or Arab Muslims. Sometimes when it comes to the Persian, the Iran, they treat Black folks terribly as well, right? Because they're mostly Arab Muslim, you don't hear about it. Why? Because Islamophobia. Wow. So they get to just enslave. And again, really real. And I'm all for coming together, right? And there needs to be Israel, Jews, Christians, Muslims living together in harmony, peace. I mean, it's difficulties that are there, but they're making it work, right? So my thing is this. If you go come together, but you don't really care or going to actually try to obfuscate the fact that people who look like me are enslaved all over the place, forget you. And you can take your come together and go over there. Why? Because you're not really care about some sort of harmony. It's just not affecting you. So you want to sing Kumbaya and Hino Matov and let's all come together. Let's sing in Arabic. Let's sing in Hebrew. Let's all come together. Let's all come together, right? All come together. It's easy to say when it's not your family being enslaved and slaughtered. And that's what's happening right now. There's no peace, the Gaza peace deal. It was always a sham. And it's only going to get worse because Hamas has been, after October 7th, what's happening? Hamas is still running Gaza. Oh, Pastor Dumisani, only sections of Gaza. Yeah, you know what? And they're slaughtering the people in the sections of Gaza they have. And from those sections of Gaza, even in the places where the IDF has cordoned those things off, Hamas is trying to infiltrate those places and try to kill IDF. So they ain't stopped nothing. If you're Qatar, Hamas, Turkey, you get the benefit of the good press. The president's son-in-law, his advisor, they're talking all this smoke. Oh, they're so wonderful and they're so peaceful and they're so wonderful and we hugged each other and loved on each other and everything. And you ain't done nothing to contrite. You have done nothing to show any type of contrition, any type of teshuvah, any type of repent. Nothing. You've done nothing to warrant all the roses and the kisses that you're getting and the international aid money that you're still getting. It makes things much more dangerous. Keep my preacher hat on. Ladies and gentlemen, it makes things much more dangerous for the United States of America. Why? Because we cast our lot with Amalek. We cast our lot with Israel's enemies. This is and now Trump's talking about Israel can't annex Judea and Samaria. Judea and Samaria is the Jewish people's land, right? Well, the Bible has something to say about dividing the land as well. We're a goat nation. The sheep nations and goat nations. The Bible talks about that. Sheep nations stand with Israel, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Goat nations, they line up with Amalek. We are lining up with Amalek. I don't care if you don't like it. Yep. When the Trump administration resumed in 2025 here in January, I, like many, were hoping for the Trump that I saw in 2017, who stood in the Rose Garden after meeting with the Arab leaders and called out Qatar for its terrorism. Trump hasn't said anything like that since June of 2017. What does it say now? Qatar is our great friend, our great ally. People shouldn't be talking about them. The president is saying to people like me talking bad about Qatar or telling the truth about Qatar, we shouldn't be doing that. That's the president of the United States. This is real. So beyond, God feels some kind of way about people lining up with Israel's enemies. And that's exactly what the United States is doing. Much of our foreign policy is being dictated by Qatar and Turkey. They're loving it. They're having a great time, right? What's his name? Al-Jalani. Sarah Adams, that amazing young lady out there, former CIA targeter. She's one of the main ones with others sharing some of that very pertinent information. That not only is Al-Jalani an unrepentant Al-Qaeda and ISIS member, this dude's operating about 40 training camps, terrorist training camps himself in places like Afghanistan and Syria, and I believe Sudan's another one. Sudan is about to explode, ladies and gentlemen. It's not only is it not peace, now is it not peace? Man. So when I connected to that, yeah, these are the types of things, not for the purpose of attacking the president or attacking, no, but for the purposes of telling the truth. And unfortunately, if I have to tell the truth after you done lied, you call that attack if you want to. This is very, very serious what's happening. It's much more, I said it the other day, we're at the point now where the Trump's foreign policy is not much different than Obama's. Let me say it again. The Trump foreign policy, after what and people get in their fields and all that kind of stuff. They can get in their fields. I don't care. I don't care. And some people are going to see it, but when it's way too late to see it. But some of us see it right now. Right now. It's not good. So pause all the Africa stuff and then what's going on, because these things are all connected. It was Eldridge Cleaver who was an anti-Zionist turned Zionist. We've talked about that much before. And if you haven't checked it out, you go to our website, IBSI.org/videos, and you can see how Black Panther Eldridge Cleaver became a Zionist. It's also an article on our Substack, ibsi.substack.com. We talk about it, just to use him as an example. And he fled the country, about 7 years, came back. He got completely red-pilled, if you want to use that. He saw the African slaves in places like Algeria and everything. He met Yasser Arafat. He heard all this stuff. Then he saw the truth about how they feel about Black people. Then he saw the truth about how Israel has been a friend. He got changed. So, well, not boom, but it happened over a while, but it did change. And one of the things that he said, it was almost like a parenthetical phrase that was made in the article. And we replaced the articles on our website. We put it on there, and maybe we'll try to put the clip on there. I didn't give this to the producer, but one of the things he said was that once the Arab states, the oil producing states, started using oil as a weapon in terms of the economy, stuff like that, he said he could envision how the United States would one day betray Israel. That's exactly what's happening right now. Oh, the United States and Israel have had rocky relationships over the decades. It's never been a hunky-dory type of thing all the time, right? We're the closest ally, right? But there have been some struggles and difficulties between the governments, because governments are government, people are people. What's happening right now, from the Obama administration through this now second Trump administration, is good. If this first year of the Trump administration is any indication, man, this is not good. This is not good. And the cognitive dissonance, Trump's loyal base, who are also Israel supporters who cannot see it, they are a mirror image of Obama's loyal base, who are also Israel supporters who couldn't see it. They couldn't see it. Couldn't see it. They refused to see it. That's what's going on right now. But here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have the luxury of living in your illusion. Right? I don't. Man, you see it, you better get up. You sitting on the railway tracks and cars coming and your little friends in the out. I don't hear no car. You talk to them for a minute. Hey, I hear it coming. All right, about peace. All right, because I ain't gonna say it gets smashed like a bug because you choose not to see and choose not to. What do I look like? Well, I look like sacrificing my life because you don't want to see that the train is coming. It's funny how the Torah portion this week is Noah. My man preached for years. Was it a century? He built that ark and preached and preached. We tell the church all the time, he was the world's most unsuccessful evangelist, quote unquote. Preached in every altar call. Not one person got saved. All the preachers now saved, man. I mean, you preached for years and years and years, and every time you did an altar call, nobody got saved. You talking about feeling your feels, man. You might be feeling kind of, he preached. I'm sure he preached with power and authority. He preached, hey, it's going to rain, it's going to rain, it's going to rain, it's going to rain. Nobody got saved. Close the door, everybody, nobody but his wife and his family listened to him. Put them, all the aminos, as they said, on the teva, on the ark, close it up, and come to rain. Now the folks, oh, can you let us in? Bruh, there's the reason why they call it the days of Noah. This is not, oh man, anyway, so yeah, I had to deal with that. I want you to check out those videos, both the Africa-Israel, the 3,000-year relationship thing. Check that out. I want to share one more thing with you. I told the producer we'll probably go a little bit over an hour this time because there's so much to do. We pared it down. There's way more stuff to talk about, but we can't get it all in. But I want to show you something. So episode 4 of We Are Not the Same, the series that we've been doing with our partners here, and it's been posted on Facts for Peace. Shout out to Facts for Peace. I want to show you episode 4 because episode 5 will drop on tomorrow morning. But if you've missed episode 4, Miss Producer, go ahead and minimize it. Let's check out episode 4 real quick. Well, I guess you just.
What in the world does defending black lives have to do with the Arab-Israeli conflict? Nothing. But that doesn't stop the Black Lives Matter organization from injecting Free Palestine into everything it does. Why? The same reason BLM co-founder Patrisse Cullors called herself a trained Marxist. It all comes back to the same unholy alliance between Marxism and anti-Zionism that was forged in the 1960s between the KGB and the PLO. When the Soviets hatched a plan to make Free Palestine a surrogate for anti-Western ideology, which the leaders of BLM fell for hook, line, and sinker. BLM has been vocally anti-Israel since Ferguson in 2014, but they took it to unthinkable levels when their Chicago chapter posted a picture of a Hamas paraglider showing their clear support for the October 7th massacre. It's unforgivable that a movement claiming to speak for black voices would promote hatred in our name. Fighting for equal rights in the black community has nothing to do with the Free Palestine quest to destroy Israel or spread global Jew hatred. We are not the same. Until next time, this is We Are Not the Same, how Free Palestine exploited the black community.
Again, that was episode 4. You go back and it talks about basic Black Americans to Support Israel Committee. It talks about the KGB and the PLO, how that all got started, the disinformation. Episode 5 will deal with the African slave trade that's happening there in the Arab Islamic world and why that's so connected to it. And then 6 and 7 will be coming up pretty soon. 6 deals with the 3,000-year relationship. And 6 deals with like Pan-Africanism and African Zionism. We're going to break down the Negro spirituals and everything like that. So again, shout out to our folks who've been helping us with all of that and everything. So you can check that out. Again, go to our website, ibsi.org, and you'll see the link. You'll see that same logo for the We Are Not the Same series. And you click on it. It takes you to the YouTube page, but it's also on our other pages as well. But it takes you to the Facts for Peace YouTube page. You can check that out. And there you can see all the intro and all the episodes 1 through 4. Again, episode 5 drops on tomorrow. I think I'm going to stop there. It's been so much, but again, I'm going to stop right there. Thank you for joining us again. I think we're here next week. I'm not in town, but I think the executive director might be. Oh, no, that's right. Okay, so I guess I can say this part here. Shout out to all our friends out there in Minnesota. So what's happening here? Shout out to our dear friend, Dr. Francis Tabla, who is a Liberian pastor in the Minnesota area, and they lead something called the Africa Night to Honor Israel. It is the 12th annual one this Sunday, and we're looking forward to being with you guys. God say the same. They've been doing a special tribute to our dear Olga, and so we're looking forward to that. So Monday, I don't know who's going to be where, everything, but if we're not sure, we're in the time, everyone, where our schedule is each Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. But not just me, but other parts of our staff may be different places. So a shout out to the Israel guys out there too, the ones who've done Israel. They were just saying, I remember about a year ago, they said, you know what, you guys, we usually do content every week, but right now there's lots of projects we're working on. So you might not see us on every particular week. So I'm having to give that same speech. We're not shutting down Israel, the Forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America. But if you don't see something on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern and everything, these channels aren't open at that moment, we're probably somewhere else in the country or in the world doing the work. So again, I'm not sure if it's going to be happening on next Monday, but definitely you'll get more information. Go to ibsi.org. You can join our emailing list, our newsletter. At that place, you can get our Substack, the Africa Israel Weekly. Just go there and you'll get all the information. We're going to be kind of revamping everything too, because there's so much that's going on, book stuff and everything else like that. But again, looking forward to that youth conference in Addis Ababa with African and Black American young people. Shout out to the pastors and leaders who are coming with us to Israel. For those of you who are watching this, yes, we have our meeting on tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're looking forward to this Holy Land tour. It's going to be an amazing, amazing time. All right, Mr. Producer, you clear up the outro up here. I think we're good. I haven't forgotten anything. Again, go to donate as well. ibsi.org/donate. Again, we are a nonprofit organization. How do we do these things? We do these by the generosity of our donors from the Jewish community, from the Christian community in Africa and Israel, the United States. And we're so grateful to each of them. Again, we're not connected to a government, Israel or United States, or any African government at all. And we are completely independent in that sense. We just operate on the giving and the donations of just amazing people who want to see the work go forward. There's much, much work to be done. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. See you all on the next time.